Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to have a look at following the slightly longer term charts on the US-eminis using 15 and 60 minute charts. But let's start with our risk disclaimer and just remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. And we'll be looking at a losing trade in today's video. Right, today I want to have a look using our new MTPredictor add-ons for NinjaTrader 8. And here is a 15-minute chart of the ES using the 24-hour session. For those of you who follow MTPredictor, you'll know that we don't blindly take all the trade setups. You can see here we have automatic trade setups on the chart as well as history triangles here that show you that trade setups were there at the time. We have a trend indicator, blue for up, black for in the process of making a reversal, and red for down. We don't follow these blindly because we know that markets move in cycles, and about 50% of the time, or maybe slightly more, basic markets are random. So we're looking to trade when the picture is clear. So how do we do that? Well, we move to the higher time frame chart. So if you're on a 15-minute chart, you go to a time frame between 3 and 5 time frames higher. So that would mean going out to the 60-minute chart. We then place DPs on our chart. These are our decision point levels that give you areas of support and resistance in advance. So if I go back a bit, you can see there's a swing pivot high there. So if I right mouse click, I do decision point. It gives you an area on the chart, but more importantly that's there in advance, so it gives you an area of where to look for potential resistance. If I then scroll forward, you can see what the ES has done over the last day. It basically went up into that level. If I reset the chart again, and that's where the high came in absolutely perfectly. If we now came down to the trade time frame you're looking to trade, you can see we actually had a VS or volume spike sell setup at that resistance level as well. Our MTP trend had gone from blue to black to confirm that the market was indeed in the process of making a reversal. So this was the first place where you had a trade set up. So you can right mouse click over the red sell bar to analysis. That gave you a nice trade down into that first target. Remember, we use position sizing. In this case, to keep our initial risk less than 2% of a sample $20,000 account. So that would mean if you make a losing trade, and we'll have a look at one of those in a minute, you'd have made a 1-hour loss, but as this made the target came in a nice plus 3-hour profit. The large degree trend then turned down. We then had another sell setup here. Can you see we had a history triangle? That's the beauty of this, is it doesn't hide anything. In other words, if there was a trade setup there at the time, we would have been able to place our analysis on like this and be able to see what happened. Remember, we wouldn't have looked to take this buy setup because we're in a downtrend off this large degree resistance. Again, position sizing calculates the number of lots or contracts in this case to consider for that particular short trade. That would have taken you in and then it would have stopped you out. That would have been a loss. It's important to understand that there always will be losing trades, no matter how or whatever kind of system you use, there always will be losing trades, and it's important to keep those losses small, and that's what we do by using position sizing. If I clear this all off, we then had a W3 or wave 3 trade setup come in here. This looked to be a good trade setup because we're coming off nice resistance on the higher time frame. Our MTP trend was red. Let's right mouse click over this red sell bar. Whoops, missed that. Right mouse click over the red sell bar to analysis. You can see it there, it came into our typical wave 3 WPT target. Again, position sizing took care of the number of contracts to take. And as you can see, when the market started to decline sharply here earlier during the regular or day session, you were already short as the market declined down there quite nicely. The result was a nice 8.5 or 8.5 times the initial risk profit. So that had you short before this sharp decline started to unfold. If you're a more experienced trader and you go out to the higher time frame again, you'd have then placed another DP on the chart off this last major swing pivot low here. So you'd right mouse click, do decision point. This would give you an area of potential support. If I scroll out, you can see that this sharp decline came down into this level, bounced slightly below it, but then has started to rally back up and bounce off that major support level. So how would that have helped you on the 15-minute chart? Should we go down to the 15-minute chart? Rather than coming out at this particular profit target here, you could have said, well, actually I'll come down to a slightly lower profit target, i.e. the higher time frame support zone, and you could have increased your profit to just over 11R, which is a very nice profit indeed. But that just shows you how we can use our MTPredictor add-ons, in this case for NinjaTrader 8, using the slightly longer time frame, 15-minute and 60-minute on the ES. If we have a look at the other markets, the NQ, you can see VS, again a W3 trade setup. The VS wasn't great because that was against our blue MTP trend, but this W3 trade setup here again was like the ES, was a good one. If I place the analysis on, that again would have had you short into the decline that's just been unfolding there. And also if we then have a look at the YM, exactly the same position where we had a VS sell at the high and then also a W3 or wave 3 trade setup in there as well. So all three US-eminis would have had you short on the slightly longer time frame, 15-minute time frame, as this sharp decline came in here. Go back to the ES to finish with, and there we were. So hopefully this has been a good example of how to use our MTPredictor add-ons for NinjaTrader 8, which is what we're using here for trading or following the US-eminis on the regular trade, not the day session only, so not the regular trading hours, the 24-hour session only, using slightly longer time frame charts, 15 minutes with 60-minute for your higher time frame support and resistance zones.